The Portland Trailblazers have officially traded CJ McCollum, and because of this, the NBA as we know it is about to change drastically. And I know, this is just one trade, right? But the thing is, this one trade has the potential to create so many ripple effects in the NBA that I've just gotta say, when we look back at today, this could be a historic moment. It could be a day that completely swings an NBA championship or an NBA franchise. So what's up guys, Mike here, and yes, that is how important I think this trade is. Officially, CJ McCollum, Larry Nance, and Tony Snell are headed to the New Orleans Pelicans, while the Blazers essentially traded for Josh Hart, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Gigi Luzada, a protected first-round pick, and 2 second-round picks. A trade that has many scratching their heads, and that includes me. Personally, as I will get into in this video, I do not think that the Blazers are getting enough back for the players that they have been giving up, but what makes this trade potentially historic is the fact that Damian Lillard is now, in all likelihood, I do not care what the Portland Trailblazers say, gone. Meanwhile, the Pelicans are obviously making an attempt to make a run at the playoffs this year. They are making their team better for Zion Williamson, who has been linked to other teams such as the Knicks. And so if this results in Damian Lillard ending up on a contender next season, and if it also results in Zion Williamson staying with the New Orleans Pelicans, who have been building a very great young team, again, I just believe this is going to have ripple effects for years to come. So in this video, like any trade video, I do want to break this into 2 sides. We are going to focus on the Blazers side first, and then we'll get into the Pelicans. So starting with the Portland Trailblazers here, I feel like in a rebuild scenario, it is very important to know what the fans are thinking of that rebuild, because at the end of the day, we have seen rebuilds go horribly wrong. We have seen plenty of teams in the past go all in on a rebuild, not choose the right players, not get enough picks back for the players that they already had on their roster, aka as of now, Robert Covington, Norman Powell, and CJ McCollum. And not every time, but sometimes when a team handles a rebuild poorly from the beginning, it can be a complete disaster. After the Chris Webber era of the Sacramento Kings, the team that almost took down the Kobe and Shaq Lakers in the Western Conference Finals, Sacramento went on to rebuild and has not made the playoffs since, would you look at that, 2006. There are plenty of NBA fans right now that have never seen the Sacramento Kings make the playoffs, which is absolutely insane. And I'm not saying that the Portland Trailblazers are going to have a 16+ year streak of not making the playoffs, but what I am saying is that they have to be careful here. Looking at the Blazers Reddit, a place I like to look after trades or after any player news really, because a team subreddit is where some of their most diehard fans are. They watch every game, they discuss their team every game, they know their own team. And when the news of the Robert Covington Norman Powell trade broke, this was their response: what the f? We just dumped Rocco and Norm for nothing. What the actual flying f is this? Traded first for Rocco, Gary for Norm, then all for Bledsoe and a second? Oof, Marone. Keon Johnson is what we traded for, not Bledsoe. A 19-year-old 6'4" shooting guard prospect for our best scoring 2 and our backup center. Doesn't make any sense. We're not even getting a first rounder out of this. What a idiot. Yes, that is the criticism that the Blazers' own fans have for their team as of right now, and that was before CJ McCollum just got traded in a trade that everyone is saying is one-sided. Now, before we jump into the Dame aspect of this Blazers trade, I do want to say I do really like Josh Hart as a player. It seems like Pelicans fans are very sad to see him go, and I see why. He is a very solid defender. He has a very tradable contract, which is why he's included in this trade, and he's definitely made strides in New Orleans. He is a very good role player in my opinion. I don't think Josh Hart fully fits into a rebuild though. I think he is more of a very high-level role player for a good team. So personally, when Portland does fully blow this up and trade Damian Lillard, because I think that is a certainty at this point, I hope Josh Hart ends up on a team where he can make a difference, because I just think that guy is really good and he is a high character guy. Now, as for Nickeil Alexander-Walker for the Blazers, I do think that right now he is the most important part of this specific trade. I would say at this point in time, Nickeil Alexander-Walker is a work in progress, but he has certainly shown flashes that he can grow into a player who is much better than he currently is. I know this season his shooting is down, which is disappointing. However, I still do have faith in Nickeil. I do think that he is going to be a very solid player in the future, so I do like this piece for the Blazers. The problem is you cannot combine this trade with also trading Robert Covington and Norman Powell, which basically combined equals Josh Hart, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, a first-round pick that is protected, that we will get into that protection protection, and Keon Johnson, that just is not enough for this trade package, especially when we consider that Gary Trent Jr., the man that the Blazers traded away for Norman Powell, is a better player and a better trade piece than any single player the Blazers have gotten in either of these trades. I don't care what anyone says, that is a gigantic mess up. That is horrible, and it is because of this, combined with all of the rumors we saw this offseason that Damian Lillard might want out, that leads me to believe that Damian Lillard is definitely out. And guys, before we continue, I do want to say, if you didn't know, I have a podcast where we post twice a week. It's called Laced Up, and we just talked about this topic. We in fact had a very long discussion about it. The link to my Laced Up podcast will be in the description. If you want to show support, or if you want to know more insight on my thoughts on this trade, click the link, watch the podcast. I know you guys are gonna love it. As of now, let's get back to the video. I mean, let's be real here. Woj can say whatever he wants. He says that the Blazers are trying to build around Dame. At the end of the day, Dame has to agree to that, and also the Blazers could just be saving his trade value there. It is possible that we would have seen Damian Lillard traded at this very trade deadline. The problem is that right now he just simply cannot be traded. He has an abdominal injury. It is not yet cleared, and so because of this, the Blazers have to wait for the summer to trade Dame, which I think they will. In fact, I think if they don't make that decision, Dame will, and will demand out. And who could blame him at all? I mean, at the end of the day, Damian Lillard is one of the most loyal players the NBA has seen recently. The problem here, though, is that I just feel like this loyalty is misguided. I understand being loyal to a city that has supported you for so long. I understand being loyal to the team that picked you, that believed in you at every step of the way. The problem is, though, the Blazers are just simply not putting a good team around Dame at this point. They are not allowing him to succeed in the way that he can. Dame has spent 10 seasons as a Portland Trailblazer. 10. And he has seen other stars on other teams watch as their front offices have made moves to make their teams championship contenders. Unfortunately, the Blazers have just not gotten it done, and so I think Dame will be out. Now, where does he go? That's the question, right? The problem is we cannot answer that question fully right now. The reason being that we just don't know what the trade situation is going to be like with the trade deadline happening right now and with the summer still looming. I will say though, I can definitely see the New York Knicks potentially making a big move here. They have a lot of young assets, and as we just saw, Kemba Walker did not work out. And as we all know, Tibbs has had his best success with a score-first point guard. Yes, they did not score in the same ways, but Damian Lillard and MVP Derrick Rose are score-first guards, so I could see the Knicks trying to make a move here, especially with the season they've had. And speaking of struggles, I can also see the Lakers making a move. The problem, of course, being what trade assets would they give up? However, I really don't know what the Blazers are going to do at this point. I guess I can get this CJ McCollum trade because he does have a long contract, so maybe this was the best trade the Blazers could get for him. I don't know. What I do know is that the Norman Powell and Robert Covington trade was horrible. That just felt like a complete salary dump, and so I am just very concerned with the Blazers going forward. However, I will say I'm also very, very excited to watch Dame's career post-Portland. I have nothing against the Blazers fans at all, but at this point, it's so obvious they need to just go all in on a rebuild. You've given up Norman Powell, you've given up Robert Covington, you've given up CJ McCollum, you've given up your veterans. Now you have to trade away Dame and just embrace a rebuild. Start building a new winning culture, start building a culture with new young players. And we have seen if you do things the right way, if you do pick the right players and develop them correctly, your rebuild doesn't have to be that long. You can get back into the playoffs after a few seasons. Now, as for the New Orleans Pelicans in this trade, you may have noticed that I spent a lot of time talking about the Blazers and not as much time talking about the Pelicans in this video, and there's a very big reason for that. I have currently absolutely no idea what is going on in Zion Williamson's head. What I do know is that the Pelicans are currently in the play-in game. What I do know is that without Zion, the Pelicans have been playing very, very well recently. And what I also know is that the Pelicans need a guy like CJ McCollum. That is exactly what they wanted headed into this offseason. They were targeting Kyle Lowry because they were targeting a veteran guard who can create for others. Now, CJ McCollum is, of course, a score-first player. He's averaging 20.5 points this season with 4.5 assists, but I think the idea still remains the same after getting Devontae Graham and it not fully working out. That might be nice to say about Graham. I mean, he's currently averaging 13.7 points on 36% shooting and only 35% shooting from three on 8.3 attempts per game. Those are not good numbers at all, especially when you're only averaging 4.5 assists. So it is very clear the need for a scoring guard and a guard who can create plays is there for the New Orleans Pelicans, and they just filled that need. They also were able to pick up Larry Nance Jr., which is an awesome acquisition. Larry Nance Jr. is a great role-playing big man. Plus, he's also a veteran just like CJ. Both of these guys are going to be able to provide veteran leadership. They're going to be able to help a culture that is building a winning environment. There were times this season where I was definitely down on the New Orleans Pelicans, but honestly, looking at what they have right now, if Zion does commit to this team, if he is here for the long run, this is going to be a really good team. I mean, we cannot forget that Zion Williamson had a historic second year in the NBA. All his life, CJ McCollum has been a borderline all-star. He has never quite been an all-star, but he is right at that level. Zion is a guy who is an all-star starter level type talent already in his second season, with the potential to be an MVP type talent going forward. Adding those two guys to a team that has already begun to see success, to a team that has another all-star talent in Brandon Ingram, I mean, I've just got to say, I love everything about this. I think the Pelicans are going to be a scary, dangerous team going forward. I think this season they will probably get into the play-in game, definitely if Zion returns, but then next season, that is where things are actually scary, because a fully healthy big three of Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum, combined with guys like Jackson Hayes, who has shown tremendous potential, Herb Jones, who has already emerged as one of the best young defenders in the NBA. I mean, I just cannot say enough here. I think Zion should stay at this point. I think the Pelicans are doing an amazing job. I do not think that this is the same situation as Anthony Davis, where they mortgaged their future and went a little too all in on AD at first, and then it bit them later on. I think the Pelicans are making smart moves here. I think they are building a winning culture. End of the day, I will say I love this trade for the Pelicans. Do not like it for the Blazers. So there we have it, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe and turn on post notifications so you never miss a video. It is the trade deadline, guys. We are going to be posting a video on every single major trade that is made. So again, hit that subscribe button, turn on post notifications, and also link to my Laced Up podcast is again in the description. Click that, go watch it. I know you'll love it. If you're already subscribed, thank you so much for supporting. You're awesome. We all know it. And as always, have an awesome day, and cue that music. If you're still here while the music is cued, here are two videos I think you are definitely going to enjoy. Make sure to click on one of them. Again, I know you're gonna love it. And other than that, have a great day and peace.